Have you ever found yourself wrestling with a tough decision where, both options seem incredibly important, but they're pulling in different directions?
Hmm.
That's exactly the kind of dilemma we're diving into today. We're looking at how organizations, especially nonprofits, decide where to focus their, precious energy and resources when there's just so much good to be done.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge.
So, is it better to tackle a massive, global issue, climate change, for example? Or should they zero in on the immediate needs right in our own backyard, in our local communities?
It's a really profound question. And honestly, for many nonprofits, it's like a constant tightrope walk.
Right.
So our mission today is to try and cut through some of that complexity. We're going to explore this essential debate through three distinct, pretty powerful lenses.
Okay.
We've got a conservative perspective, a liberal perspective, and then a more data-driven scientific perspective.
Got it.
And the goal isn't just to summarize them, it's to really extract the most compelling nuggets of insight. We want to help you, our listener, truly understand the nuanced tension that's at play here and why it matters so much for effective action.
All right, let's jump straight in then. Our first perspective, Agent A. This one makes a strong, pretty compelling case for prioritizing local community needs. And it isn't just about thinking small, right? It seems rooted in a very pragmatic assessment of where interventions can actually be most effective.
Exactly. Pragmatism is a good word for it.
So when you look at it from this angle, what's the real driving force behind that local first mindset? Is it purely efficiency, or is there something deeper, maybe about self-reliance, that really resonates?
Oh, it's definitely about self-reliance,
Okay.
but it's a self-reliance that's backed by observable impact. You can see it.
Okay.
This conservative view, it really prioritizes building from the ground up. The thinking is that strengthening those local foundations, it creates a kind of ripple effect.
Right.
The core idea is when a nonprofit focuses locally, they can literally see, touch, and measure their impact much more directly.
Okay, tangible results.
Exactly. Think of it like this.
Yeah.
The subsidiarity principle comes into play here. Instead of some large international agency maybe dictating a school curriculum from miles away,
Right.
this principle suggests that, the local parents, the local teachers, they know their kids' specific learning needs and the cultural context way better.
Makes sense.
So decisions get made as close as possible to the level where the impact happens. That helps ensure solutions are genuinely relevant and, crucially, owned by the community itself.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're trying to build resilience, that local ownership feels absolutely critical.
It is.
So this isn't really about being insular then. It's more about making sure aid and initiatives are genuinely effective and accountable right where they land.
Precisely. It's about direct action and, importantly, measurable outcomes. When you're directly funding, say, a local food bank or maybe a vocational training program in one specific neighborhood, you can track the progress pretty clearly. You can adjust quickly if needed.
Yeah.
And you see the tangible change. This really fosters trust with donors, too, because they see their investment yielding immediate, visible results.
They see where the money's going.
Exactly. And it also tends to minimize those bureaucratic hurdles you often get with bigger operations.
Right, the red tape.
Yeah. Local initiatives are often just nimbler. They can pivot quicker if conditions change, which is, essential for using resources efficiently.
That emphasis on tangible results and direct accountability, it sounds incredibly powerful. It also feels like this approach sees local success as maybe a potential blueprint for bigger things. Is there a sense that strengthening local communities can actually contribute to tackling global challenges in, the long run?
Absolutely. It's definitely not presented as an either situation. This perspective argues that a robust, self-reliant local community is inherently just better equipped to handle broader challenges, whether that's an economic downturn or adapting to, say, environmental changes.
No, they're more resilient.
Exactly. And local successes can even become scalable models. A successful local renewable energy cooperative, for example.
Yeah.
That proves a concept that maybe could be replicated elsewhere, maybe even globally. But it started with meeting a local need and showing it works on a local level.
I see.
So the idea is you're building a really strong foundation that can eventually help support the bigger global structure.
That's a really compelling case for building from the ground up. But Now, okay, let's completely flip the script with Agent B.
Okay.
Agent B offers a liberal perspective, arguing for prioritizing global issues instead. It often feels like a direct counterpoint, suggesting many of these local challenges are actually just symptoms of much larger global problems.
Yes, that's the core tension right there.
So what's their main argument for that deep interconnectedness?
Well, the liberal perspective fundamentally argues that our world is just deeply interconnected. What happens globally profoundly impacts basically every local community, whether we always see it directly or not.
Okay.
Their core argument is that many local problems, think poverty, food insecurity, even health disparities, they're often exacerbated or sometimes directly caused by these huge global issues, things like climate change, massive economic inequality, or widespread human rights abuses.
Right.
So from this viewpoint, you can't truly fix a local problem sustainably without addressing its global roots.
So it's really about taking a long-term systemic view rather than just, putting out local fires all the time.
Exactly. Systemic change is key.
And climate change is probably the perfect example here, isn't it?
It really is, precisely. Climate change, for instance, it's not just some abstract global concept floating out there.
No.
It directly manifests locally, right? You see rising sea levels hitting coastal towns, more intense hurricanes or wildfires devastating local infrastructure, or prolonged droughts that just cripple local agriculture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So from this viewpoint, by tackling the root causes on a global scale, like really pushing for reduced carbon emissions or promoting global sustainable development goals, you're actually preventing or at least mitigating countless local crises before they even happen.
So it's like a powerful form of preventive action on a huge scale.
Exactly. Prevention rather than just reaction.
And I imagine this approach also ties into broader concepts like global solidarity and equity.
Absolutely. That's central. A core tenet of the liberal view is often framed as a moral imperative, like a universal obligation that goes beyond borders.
Okay.
It's not just about what's convenient or close by, but what's right for the entire human family and for the planet itself.
I see.
So this means addressing global inequities is seen as essential for achieving justice everywhere, including locally. Nonprofits working on global issues can help foster this sense of shared responsibility. They can leverage global networks, share resources, share best practices, find innovative solutions.
Which might then filter down.
Exactly. They might then be adapted locally, but they come from this global vision. For instance, a big global initiative to develop affordable, clean energy tech that can then be deployed in local communities, maybe creating jobs and reducing pollution locally.
So it's really about looking beyond the immediate horizon, thinking about future generations, and pushing for that systemic change rather than just short-term fixes. It definitely feels like a much bigger canvas for impact.
It is. It's inherently a vision for sustainable solutions. The argument goes that focusing only on immediate local needs, while important, can sometimes just lead to temporary relief. Band-aids, if you will.
Right.
Whereas addressing the drivers of climate change or advocating for global human rights, that creates lasting frameworks that can potentially elevate all communities. It's about influencing policy, both globally and locally, to build a more just and sustainable world for everyone. And, by fostering that global mindset, you're also creating educational opportunities, raising awareness, which empowers people locally to understand their role in these bigger systems.
Okay, so we've heard really compelling arguments for focusing local and equally powerful ones for prioritizing global issues. It's quite the dilemma.
It really is.
But now let's bring in our third perspective, Agent C, who approaches this whole debate from a scientific standpoint.
Right, the evidence-based lens.
Yeah. This view adds, I think, a crucial layer of evidence and methodology, and it suggests it's maybe not just an either a choice, but a deeply interconnected challenge. How does science help us navigate this complexity?
Well, the scientific perspective really underscores that local and global issues aren't just, related. They're fundamentally parts of the same complex system.
Okay.
Science gives us the tools to understand this systemic interconnectedness. For instance, we can track how local actions like deforestation in one area
Yeah.
can contribute measurably to global climate change, which then in turn exacerbates local problems somewhere else, maybe through extreme weather or droughts. It's a classic feedback loop,
Okay. That makes sense.
where local impacts circle back to worsen global issues, and then those global issues come back and hit locally again. Science helps us understand these dynamics, these potential tipping points, and how they impact everything.
So it's less about choosing a scale, local or global, and more about understanding how actions at one scale directly influence outcomes at the other.
Exactly.
Does that mean data-driven prioritization becomes really central here?
Precisely. Science absolutely champions data-driven prioritization. It offers tools like sophisticated data modeling, impact assessments, ways to identify exactly where interventions are likely to yield the most significant leverage, the most impact.
Right.
It basically asks the question, where can we apply our limited resources and effort to get the maximum return for both local and global well-being, maybe even simultaneously? It tries to move beyond guesswork, using evidence to make strategic choices.
And what about innovation? Does the scientific perspective see these big global challenges as like drivers for new solutions that can benefit everyone, locally included?
Oh, absolutely. Global challenges are huge spurs for innovation. Just think about renewable energy technology, or developing new methods for sustainable agriculture, or advances in public health surveillance. These are often scientific advancements, frequently born from tackling global problems, that can then be adapted and applied locally. Nonprofits can act as crucial bridges here
How so?
by bringing these cutting-edge, evidence-based innovations to communities. Maybe creating local jobs in green tech, improving community health outcomes, building climate resilience using the latest adaptation science. It's about leveraging scientific breakthroughs for tangible local benefits, like better water management or more resilient farming techniques based on climate projections.
So, the scientific view really pushes us towards a more integrated, dynamic approach. It recognizes we can't really neatly separate the local from the global. It seems like it's about working smarter, understanding the system itself to find the best intervention points.
Exactly. It's about fostering collaborative research and knowledge sharing on a global scale, which then informs best practices that can be applied effectively locally. And there's an ethical dimension, too.
Boy.
A sort of ethical and scientific responsibility to address issues with widespread impacts on biodiversity, on ecosystems, on human health, and advocating for science-based policies that benefit all scales. Plus, the scientific perspective really emphasizes tracking long-term impact through rigorous monitoring and evaluation.
Right, to see what's actually working.
Yeah, to ensure our interventions are both efficient and truly effective, not just for now, but for future generations too.
Wow, what an incredible journey through these three really powerful viewpoints. We've heard such compelling arguments for the critical importance of a local focus,
Hmm?
equally powerful reasons for prioritizing global action. And now this scientific lens showing us just how deeply everything is actually intertwined. When you step back from it all, what truly stands out to you as maybe the deeper insight in this rich debate, beyond just saying, all perspectives are valid?
That's a great question.
Hmm.
What's truly fascinating, and perhaps the key insight for me, is that despite their very different starting points and priorities, all three perspectives ultimately converge on the fundamental importance of resilience.
Resilience. Interesting. How so?
Well, think about it. The conservative view emphasizes building local resilience through self-reliance and direct, tangible impact.
Okay.
The liberal view advocates for global resilience through systemic change, equity, and addressing those root causes.
Right.
And the scientific perspective provides the framework, the tools for building integrated resilience. It helps us understand the feedback loops, the thresholds, the tipping points that connect local actions directly to global outcomes, and vice versa.
Ah, I see. So they all value resilience, just approach building it from different scales or angles.
Exactly. So the really sharp question isn't whether nonprofits should prioritize local or global. It's more about how to find those strategic leverage points, where local actions can genuinely contribute to global solutions, and where global frameworks and knowledge can effectively empower local communities. It's about finding that global sweet spot, you might call it.
Oh, cool. I like that.
Yeah, where the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts,
Mm-hmm.
where you integrate both sets of priorities for truly effective, lasting nonprofit interventions.
What an incredible deep dive. We've really explored how different worldviews shape this vital question of nonprofit prioritization, haven't we? From those immediate local needs to the huge, far-reaching global challenges. It's just such a powerful reminder that truly effective solutions often require looking through multiple lenses, appreciating the distinct strengths each perspective brings, and crucially, understanding how they interact.
And this, I think, raises a really important question for you, our listener, to maybe ponder. If the most effective nonprofits are indeed those that master this art, translating global solutions into local impact, and maybe scaling local successes to influence global narratives, how do organizations actually navigate that constant tension day to day without diluting their focus or spreading themselves too thin?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. And maybe what new metrics do we even need to genuinely capture the impact of this more integrated global approach?
Yeah.
It's a powerful thought, I think, to mull over as you continue your own explorations.